set with a 90-piece racetrack and blah,
He's been
blah.
on the internet.
Yeah, too much. He's 8.
Yeah, give me just a minute. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we're just asking you to watch over this meeting today, be with all our employees and all the citizens of the county, be with our commission today and help them to make good decisions for our county. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning. I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from last week.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll make the motion, we approve the claims in the amount of $275,289.92.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 I've got the sheriff's monthly fee report.
The Linn County Sheriff's Office end of month report for November is end of month total is $156,202.87, which is Wyandotte County inmate housing, City of Lacey inmate housing, Wyandotte County inmate housing, U.S. Marshal inmate housing, U.S. Marshal transportation, Cobb County inmate housing, training, civil service out-of-state fees, civil service in-state fees, report fees, fingerprint fees, conceal and carry fees, offender fees, and VIN fees. So the total is $156,202.87. I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Amanda called me this morning and she is planning on coming today, but she had a car seat to install or something at 9, so she's not sure what time she'll be here. And I put AMR's report on your site, but Dawn said she wasn't going to be able to be here today.
Did you just put that on?
It was just this morning, I think, or if it's not there, I can put it back out.
I don't see it. Do you guys have it?
That's it.
Okay, I may have missed that one. I got it this weekend. Give me just a second and I'll get it out there where you can see it.
Do we have anything from Randy? And no.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
Is Sean, is he ready? Or Jesse? Or Chris, do you have anything to talk about? Okay. Okay. Could you grab one of them if they're around?
I gotta find it and I will get it down there. I know she sent it to me. There it is.
Don West, Public Works Administrator. (900) Road, been in contact with Chad McCullough. He has a commission meeting this week in another county and will be here next week to speak to you on 900 Road project and catch you up on any questions you have on it. Tire recommendations, we're recommending purchasing the following from Goodyear Commercial. The tires were bid, all but two of the tires that we had asked for bids for, we got. Those two we'll have to buy individually, and by two, I mean there's two sets, but 12 of them. Tires came in a total of 90 tires at $51,843.58. As I said, 12 tires were not bid. They were two for foam filled for mowers and for a specific trailer that they didn't have tires for. And we can go out individually and get prices on those.
Say that number one more time.
51,843.58. We did have, and I will tell you, I was contacted by another vendor since we only had one bid, which was unusual on this. The normal vendor was out of town on vacation or other obligations, contacted me afterwards, and the bid I have is sealed, but it's 5 days late. And based on the statutory requirements, I would recommend you not open it, and that you award the bid to Goodyear for that price.
You guys good with that? I'll make a motion that we accept the Goodwill commercial tire bid at $51,843.58.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Okay, I'm going to skip a line. I had a conversation with J.R. Kerr about one of our final compactor boxes. I went over and looked at it. I sent you some late photos in a second packet on that. If you'll notice, I haven't got the billing on it yet, but I expect it to be just a hair more than what we originally agreed to. And the reason is, if you'll look at all those photos and see all the fresh paint, nearly 3/4 of that box had to be reconstructed or redone.
And it was still cheaper than buying a new one.
Still cheaper than buying a new one at 10 grand. So I haven't got the bill yet on it, but I'll remind you when the bill comes in of these photos. But I went by before it went back out into use and into service. I went by and grabbed some photos of it while you could still see the fresh paint marks on it. And a large part of this box has been redone.
Looks like it.
So it would not shock me that it was just a hair over what we originally agreed to. This week, I on Tuesday, met with KDOT in reference to the Hells Bend Bridge. This would be the engineers, the KDOT personnel in charge of the project. And on the 11th, we're going to have a big meeting over at Bunker Hill and have probably up to or possibly up to 40 people. And this will include engineers, construction specialists from the company that have been hired, railroad personnel, and other interested parties for the project. That will be our large pre-planning meeting for that event, and I don't believe there'll be another one of that size. before the event kicks off. Also on the 3rd, met with Call Valley engineers on the landfill project. They did a pre-bid teams meeting trying to develop interest and bids for that, and to get some change orders out on the bidding documents. So during that meeting, we had several contractors on the phone, and they went over changes in the bid. And at this point, my only interest or involvement in this is to go back out and get some more information on some lagoon information so that I can pass it on, so they can accurately spec out what the lagoon will look like at a later date. And I've got that information from Terracon and from the state. I just need to get it on over to the other engineers this week. Go back up to the D6 dozer. We have a D6 dozer that we purchased originally for $99,000 at 81.32 hours on it. The repair cost on this that we're looking at could be between, depending on what they find when they open it up, $14,000 and $23,682.99. The current value is $70,000 to $80,000 on this, and Foley would be doing the work. I'm going to have Jesse tell you about what they found with it and why the repairs are necessary. That way I don't mess up any of the nomenclature on the parts and confuse anybody.
So the equalizer bar under that dozer, which keeps it stable, is wore out on one side. And it needs replaced before we can use it again. 23,000 is the worst case scenario if we have to replace both sides while our mechanic was under it. He believes that the bearings on the one side are good and that the center pin's good, but unless we get under there and inspect that center pin a little more, we're not sure if it's going to be able to be run that way for a little bit longer. So that's what's going on with the dozer there.
Where do we use that dozer?
So we used it at the lagoons. I was going to use it out on the 1350 road project out there. But due to this, we didn't take it out there, but it works really good for larger dirt piles to move around and packing things in. So
Do we use it a lot?
we actually don't use it a lot, but when we do use it, we use it for the whole time we're out there. When we bought the machine, it had 5,800 hours on it, and we're right about 8,200 hours right now on the machine. We bought it in 2003, so we've had it for quite some time, but we don't use it as often as most. So the hours that we do put on it, you don't put a whole lot on every year.
You said we bought it in 2003, it had that many?
It had right about 5,800 hours, a little over 5,800 hours on it. So we put 2,400 hours on it since we've owned it.
So what, do you think it'd be beneficial to do a lease with like Foley or somewhere or Caterpillar to try to and have them deliver it to the job sites you need it for the time being? And
We could do that. I know the cost of rentals on dozers is actually quite expensive.
Like, do you have
I don't have a ballpark figure of renting one. But I do know it's quite expensive. If you take a Mini X that you can rent for a month, you're going to pay $5,000, $5,500 a month to rent a Mini X. So just take that and put that a little bit higher on a bigger machine. You're talking a substantial amount of money to rent one for a certain amount of time. So that's a number, if you want, I can get and bring into you on that. But just let you know what we're up against on that dozer. They do hold their value quite well amongst other machines. So I just wanted.
looks like it has?
I don't know, is it 81.32 a lot of hours for a dozer?
No.
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 I mean, so we have a big project, the 1350 road, you said would be the next one to be used on?
Well, we were going to use it on that road, but due to where it's at on its, that equalizer bar wearing out, I decided not to take it out there and just use the machines we have.
What do you think?
I'm for fixing it.
I know in the past they've used it a lot on the tree projects to clear out tree lines and things of that nature, and it works really good for that. It saves on rubber tired machines, getting flat tires and whatnot. So,
And I think that's the biggest thing we used it on is clearing tree rows prior to ditching.
Okay.
So the way it sets right now, broke, it's worth 70 to 80, you say, or
no, fixed.
fixed? I paid 99 for it.
20 years ago. So it hasn't cost as much over that time frame.
What do you guys want to do? What do you think?
I want to fix it.
Think so?
You need a motion? David?
Oh, so
I would think so, maybe, and you said somewhere from like 14 to 23.
14 to 23.6.
So you may want to do up to that upper amount to see.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we send the D6R dozer to Foley for repairs not to exceed $23,682.99.
I'll second. Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Go through what I've got here. Service requests up to date, 517 received, 481 closed, 36 are currently open. The past week we had 5 new ones, 2 were closed, 3 are currently open. Activity cost report for the road department by location of the 1,275 gravel roads. We've worked 933 of a 77% completion. We had a dump truck that needed a cylinder rebuilt for the lift on the bed. We got it put back together, and then got our control circuit for the plow and the spreader. It was bad. We got a new one on order. We've had a pickup down with brakes and a couple electrical issues. Craig's been working on that, getting that fixed. We've been working on the Fawcett Road along with the 1350 road project, been ditching and replacing culverts out there. Still have a few more culverts to replace on Fawcett. The 1350 road project's going along quite well. We've got quite a bit of that road raised. They're putting culverts in this morning out there today so we can get those in and continue raising that road up a little bit more. The 900 road project's on hold. We discussed that last week. We've dropped off a few more cement blocks that we had in stock at the shop for when the engineer's able to come in and visit with you. Todd brought the steel drum vibratory roller over to the 1350 road project so we can use it there. They had a blade out working. They've been cleaning up the triangle over there in Pleasanton so that when the things get wet, we're able to dump debris and extra dirt over there in the triangle during the winter. In the north shop, we had blades out all week working the roads. We've had a few driveway applications that have come in. We've looked at those and they're okay. We're going to get locates for them and proceed forward with that. I've been in touch with Landtel this last week a few times, seeing where they're at on their project. They had crews out all weekend. They're starting to close the holes up, get splices made and fiber run. On phase 1 is complete. They had to go out, it looked like, and it looked like they were just fixing a few things on phase 1. Phase 2 is getting really close to being done. They just got a little bit of cleanup there. Same thing with phase 3. They're splicing lines and getting that all put back together. They've just got some rock to haul off, get some debris out of the road, and get some holes closed up.
Now, did they move back out of our ditch?
Yep. So all those spots that were problem areas that we could get out of the ditch, we got out of the ditch. So we've actually moved quite a bit of line out of the side of the road and put it up against the fence as far as we could. There's some spots where there was just no place to go. And so we put it there, but all the boxes, we moved all the handhold boxes back as far as we can off the right of way to the fence lines.
Good.
Okay.
They did install a few handhold boxes, but that was just for, they're splicing like at some of the railroad crossings that they're going to take out and just splice the line there. And so those handhold boxes are going to come back out. They were just there for them to get that line spliced together, and then they'll remove those and bury those back up. So if you see one that's right against the road, it's coming back out. It won't stay there. So.
Okay.
Any questions?
I don't have.
I had a few people mention 1077 road north of
Blue Mountain.
where we've got that tube and it's sinking again. So
What it is, that's where the dirt didn't compact very good against the asphalt right there. It's just traffic going through and it's potholing out. So we're going to get working on that today to get those dug out a little bit, put some more AB3 back in, and we've got a handheld jumping jack. We'll go out there and see if we can't compact those in a little bit more. I went down there this morning and checked it out, and they were getting pretty rough this morning. So
a few people telling me it's getting rough.
yeah, so
That's the one where we use
Yeah.
the packer, drag it out,
This is the third time.
Right.
And it's
and the
and it's just surface. It's not, so nothing's really sinking. It's just traffic going through there where it didn't pack very good against the asphalt is what it
and
is.
do we have it? We don't have it capped yet.
We don't. We wanted to see it compact and settle a little bit before we put any asphalt on that, so we're not continuing to replace asphalt there. So
Okay.
Out on, I think it'd be what, 607 or 600 and 700 road on the way to the landfill. I'd mentioned here a while back about, some people that live out there complaining about their going through tires like crazy because the nails and stuff on the road. And we have a blade that puts a magnet on it and uses it out there.
yeah, I think Sean said they were going to do that once a month or something.
Okay.
They're going down that blade.
Is that what they're going to start doing?
We put a request in and it's a revolving.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let them know. They've reached out to me again, so I just want to be sure I was on top of that. So once a month, we'll run that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You guys got anything else?
I don't know anything.
Oh, thanks, Jesse.
Okay. Thanks. Oh, you asked for a cost on the 900 road project last week.
Yeah.
So this is where we're at up to date on the whole project. Break down the labor cost, our equipment, materials.
Okay.
We don't know yet what it's going to take to finish it.
Right. But Sean has visited with the engineers, so let him take care of that.
Do you feel like that we're getting dumped by them a little bit by not? I mean, this is an important project to us. I know it doesn't seem too important to them, but we've been trying to get answers out of him for how long?
A while. I'll let Sean take care of that end of that. So I don't get a little more visiting with him, so.
And we are scheduled to meet with Chad next week, and I believe that's going to be the time at which we talk about what our hard options are. Do we spend money to repair this? Do we pull it out? Do we look at,
What was our projected cost to begin with?
I'll have to pull up the emails, but I believe we have a original projected cost that in the ballpark, I thought was somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 50. But again, I think next week is going to be the discussion we have about what our options are to include what the damages are as far as the project and what options we have with Call Valley as far as mitigating those damages.
Okay.
So, transfer, met with Pleasanton on 12/6, and I'm set up to meet with the commission on the 18th in Lacine at 7 p.m. And I'm prepared to go over all of the criteria as far as the meeting with Pleasanton when I understand we have a legal session coming up over the phone here later on in the meeting. Mark asked me to ask you to join that session and cover those items during that legal session. Next thing I had for you was the park. We're working this week on planting grass, raking back over it with the drag. Next week, Sherry will be coming in and reviewing cost on the park management system. She'll also be covering year end to date. I think you may already have that so far, and it looks like we're doing pretty good because of the outages. We quite possibly could end up being 60 ahead this year, which would, in the last 3 to 5, be the largest year we've had. Noxious weeds, again this year, we were able to purchase chemicals for the coming spray season for noxious weeds and for bug control from last year's overages. And then we will be needing to talk about transferring money and capital equipment. This is going to be a discussion that we have very quickly, not only with noxious weeds, the park, but also with road and bridge. So we're going to have those money transfer discussions and where those funds are going fairly quickly in the next few weeks.
Yep.
Maintenance, we've been fighting, and I'll check again today. The Parker Senior Center has had a heat issue. Originally, they believed that it was a secondary regulator issue or originally a valve. Now they believe it's a secondary regulator, and we're waiting on the gas company to come out and look at it and put another regulator in, because the high efficiency heater requires one outside and one in.
Did we ever
Yeah, where are we at on that?
give that building away?
I believe Mark was going to speak to you about that. I believe he's got that prepped and ready, and that was going to be a point of discussion in your legal as well today. Also, to go along with that, you have Weber Heating and Cooling on the proposals for the annex and the 4-H building, and I believe the totals on those are the annex for the heat pump, air handler, flush kit, overflow safety, heat pump thermostat, and all necessary fittings is totaled at $9,500, with 75% down and the remaining due on completion. Similar, the 4-H building with a 4-ton AC pad, carrier furnace, LP conversion kit, and the rest of the necessary items being $92,500, 75 down, and the remaining due upon completion. If you're wanting to go ahead with this work, I believe page 2 just has a signatory for the estimates and the agreement to go forward with the purchase of the equipment.
So David, on the 4-H building, we incur all costs on that thing, but how does that work? We don't rent that out.
The extension office takes care of the rental on it, scheduling and everything.
So where does that money go? Does it go in?
that's really gonna be a better question for Janet, because I'm not sure how we're handling that. But the building itself is ours,
Right.
so.
But with it being rented and making a profit, is there a fund where overhead?
I would guess that it's part of our general fund, so it's probably going back in there, but I would need to check with her to make sure where we're at on that. And I don't believe she is here today.
We have our budget for that building that we determined that we had money in capital outlay.
Yes.
That we hadn't used, Danny. That was why we were looking at doing it, because I think you missed that meeting. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So just to catch you up, so Jim and I had I think we sat down when he came in. Is that right? And he had presented 7 different heating systems that he thought we should be looking at replacing here relatively quickly. And these were 2 where we had money already in the funds.
Money in the funds to do
So,
this.
so we have him under contract to
Check them out.
check him out, but so should this not go out for bid for equal opportunity, or how do we?
Well, he made the comment that he didn't do it in our bid, but from then on out, what he's gonna do, doing the maintenance on them that he wants
He has to have the contracts.
contracts for.
Since it was under 25,000, we would be
So
able.
if we change that, ours isn't that way right now, but he says any contracts he's did after ours, if I remember that right,
That's correct.
he's putting it in the contract. We can do whatever, I mean, it's,
I don't. I mean, how do you guys feel about it?
But we'd asked him to
we've asked him already to give these, so.
give us these bids on replacing these 2 because we had money in those funds to go ahead and start the process. And then we would move forward on the rest.
And so, but these were determined from his evaluation of all the.
Correct.
But that don't mean the rest of them, like.
Right, so it's just
we can do differently because our
And it's-
contract don't state
And
that.
it's going to be a larger amount on those others if we're lumping those together
We took the lesser,
to start the ball moving here at the end of the year, knowing that we may have others to try to look at for next year. And the reason that I was looking at it that way, Danny, was just so that we could, so we had money in these funds that was set aside for those things that we hadn't used. So let's go ahead and get those taken care of. We don't have money necessarily earmarked in those other funds. We could maybe have some carryover or something that way that we could use to pay for part of it. But we don't have anything budgeted for next year in regards to these either. So,
and there was one thing there that we did talk about was the fire building at Pleasanton.
Yep.
And that's actually comes out of the fire department's budget, right? It would, so we probably should allow Randy to see.
About getting that one done.
To be involved in that one if, what we do.
So we're good with this, but from here on out, they're going to be bigger projects, and we're going to go
I have to go out for bid.
go for bid. Which I think is just a kind of a miss on everyone's part on right here. Now,
Well,
I mean, because I think it is fair to him that he does, but he gets paid to give us the evaluation, correct?
He
He
does.
is, but what he's telling us
If he
is
does a
from
contract,
new
yeah.
contracts on out, that if he's gonna be the maintenance.
Right. No, I understand. That. Yeah.
And maybe we can go find somebody else, and then, like you said, I don't know. That might not be the only option. I agree with you that the bid is the best process.
Yeah.
I do too.
I think, as long as he's getting compensated for his evaluation of the equipment, I mean, I think that'd be fair, right? To everybody. So if you guys are good with it, let's,
I'll make a motion that we go with the Weber Heating and Cooling proposals for the annex and the 4-H building. The annex totaling 9,500 and the 4-H building 9,250.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 And the last thing goes along with that is we still have the repair money for the roofing for this building, the 4-H building, the gazebo that has more than roof damage, and the courthouse, the old courthouse that we're going to have to find a plan for. And I'm not for sure, David, whether or not we're able to consume that money and then build an overall plan to rebuild the gazebo, because putting a roof on something that won't hold itself up.
That's something we need to discuss more, but this company was one we might talk to about some roofing projects too. You want to get hold of
Okay.
them. They're the ones that are doing the inspections now through K-Camp.
Okay.
They would do roofing projects if we need them.
Okay. But we've already bid, that's the project we've already bid out and received no bid
bid.
back. So
So maybe we could try again with that company.
in my estimation, we could send out the same list. We've already bid it once. We've already,
Prepared, done the work, just to try to rebid it.
yeah. If we could find someone that can do it at this point, I say we sole source it, because we've already published it and we've already bid it and we had people come around and look at it. We've done our due diligence on this one.
Okay.
Now we need to get it out, knocked out and done.
And I haven't got no for sure answers from Rosin. I mean, I talked to her twice and I still haven't got an answer on when they can come down. So, and that would be more of an entire project of the courthouse, not just a roof. So I don't want to keep pushing it on.
What about the block issues that's on each end of the doors?
Oh, I'm taking care of that.
You're good. Okay. You have any idea when? And
Spur of the moment.
okay.
I'm doing it for free.
You'll still do that for
Yeah,
in
yeah.
January?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I get you to do some more?
I think I've done enough.
Commissioners, other than setting my room up for that legal console, and getting that ready, I have nothing else this morning for you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Okay. During that discussion or these discussions, I did get the AMR report posted on your site. Also just got an email from Randy with his report and some other information.
You want me to read the AMR report?
Go for it.
Okay. No calls for Blue Mound or Centerville. Lacine had 5 calls, 2 transports. Fontana, no calls. Lane, no calls. Linn Valley, 2 transports. None for Rich Hill. Mountain City, 3 calls, 1 transport. Parker, 1 call, 1 transport. Pleasanton, 7 calls, 5 transports. Prescott, 1 call, 1 transport, for a total of 19 calls, 12 transports. And the average response time for the entire county was 13 minutes and 46 seconds.
And on the fire, it looks like our weekly call was 4 total. Your call data is 403. Total for the year, 505. Includes 102 calls from last reporting software.
And in that email from Randy, there were some mutual aid agreements for you to review. I believe there are samples of others. He also, in the email itself, put in that the only other thing he had is the city of Parker has asked permission to park a police vehicle in the fire station when the officers are not on duty. The station has an open bay and it shouldn't be an issue if you guys are okay with it. So I think he's looking for either approval or denial of that request.
We've got that type of thing happen before the fire. Last thing,
I don't-
fire.
They came in,
Yeah,
they
we
paid
had
out
an
the
agreement
bill,
with
but,
them, which was a little different, but
I
I
mean,
mean, we've worked with cities and helped out with things before, so I don't think it would be that unusual if we, you know, as long as it's not in our way.
under the understanding that if something happens to it, it's not our responsibility, or
I,
if there's like a break-in, something happens to it, I mean,
well, that would make sense to
I
me,
gotta
yeah.
put that in the motion,
I mean, yeah, as long as they, I would be okay.
right?
I think so, yeah, for sure.
That way it's stated. Okay, I'll make a motion that we allow Parker to place a police vehicle in the fire department building at the Parker station at their own liability. Is that?
You guys good with that? You good with that?
I'm good with it.
I'll second. Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 So all we've got from Randy is statutes.
Yeah.
On that stuff. So we're still needing his proposed mutual aid agreement.
Why don't we wait till he comes in, we can talk to him about it,
Right.
see what his idea is.
Yep, that's fine. Do we give any more thought to the Reno Dry?
Yeah, I met with those guys. I think it is something that we need to follow up with their customers that they've installed, and they've done it in a lot of courthouses. I've kind of looked into it a little bit. And, I remember here, I met with them 2 years ago, and I walked through, and the readings are a little higher than they were 2 years ago, 161% moisture. And I moved some of the carpets, like that's laying on the ground in the basement, and it's the water's infiltrating from the pad up, the floor up. So, I mean, typically underneath of a pad like that, you'd have drain and rock and all that stuff and push it out to the side. Well, it's coming from that floor up, and I think it's something we should probably really look into. I remember here about a year ago, we talked about where David's floor is rotting out and stuff, and totally forgot about those people and the product they have, and we talked about putting some kind of plastic or some kind of moisture barrier between there because of the temperatures between the basement and that first floor. They're so different that it's causing pretty good issues. There is other companies out there. I've looked a few of them up, but it's all the same technology. I haven't reached out to any of their prior clients, but I don't know if you guys have or talked to
I
anybody.
did, Anderson County. They was kind of skeptical about it when they did it, but they did it 2 years ago, and they both kind of shake their head and say, "We don't understand it, but the mildews, the smell is gone." But they're pleased with it. Garnett, Anderson County is. I didn't talk to Woodson. I tried to find the commissioner who got there, but I didn't see him. So,
I looked at a few like the websites and stuff and their reviews and stuff like that. And I've never heard of the technology, but I think it's something that's been around for a little while. But I guess it's a good option to take care of the initial issue, which would be all that water underneath the floor. I mean, unless you dig that whole courthouse up and install all that drainage, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars to do something like that.
they said they'd had it 2 years, and they said the mildew smell is gone.
I was kind of skeptical the first time I walked through them with it 2 years ago, and just because I'm more of a problem solver, like take care of the issue, and we're looking at a big limestone stacked foundation. You start taking things off that, it could, or digging around it, it could really mess things up. So I don't really think we have a whole lot of options here. And they had stated in here that they were going to only hold the price till the end of the year, and I told them that I got them to agree that they would go a little longer for us if so we could decide what we wanted to do,
If they'll go a little longer, give me a little time and I'll reach out to Woodson County because I
Okay.
get on with the commissioner out there too. I just didn't do it this week, but that'll give us another option if somebody knows somebody in Vernon or.
And I know they're changing,
They'll make a decision next week.
they're going from, it's Reno dry and then I think they're changing it because they're getting bigger. It's going to be called damp to dry maybe. So if that helps you guys, get any information on it. So,
Well, and that was one of my thoughts or feelings, was that something was changing with it. That's why they were pushing for the price now.
yeah. And I
And
think
to get us
that's
to
because
lock in.
they're bringing in new partners and new investors on it is my understanding of it when I talk to them.
That's what I was figuring was going on.
And
That's
it's,
why they're pushing so hard and keeping the old price. But the price is going to go up with the new investors and things of that nature.
New stockholders.
and
A
I
little more
did get them to
aggressive,
agree.
progressive.
I did get them to agree for that price of, I think it was around 20,000, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
I remember him saying it was 20 for
And,
one time, 20,000, right?
yeah,
Yep.
I think, yeah. And, I paid attention to the outside walls of the courthouse, but it's actually on the inside walls too. So that's what tells me.
What was the number? No.
100, there was one is 170 and that was next to the boiler, which is hot. And there's still that much moisture in the wall.
So it's just boiling it.
Yeah, it's not drying it out, that's for sure. So there's, you move a rug, there's efflorescence coming up, which is the salts coming up out of the floor.
I mean, that's good information from Anderson County. See how
I talked to
Woodson,
both of them separately, and they both gave me the same answer in two different conversations. So
well, check with Woodson and let's see if that's something we want to.
I'll reach out to the one in Woodson County that I
Awesome.
see.
So I'm on board with it. Do a little more homework on it and make sure we're all on the same page, and
Sounds good.
I'm good with it. So.
Damp to dry.
Spend on that.
We can find that. That's, yeah. I'd say Amanda's here whenever you're ready for.
Oh, yeah, Amanda, come on up. Sorry, I didn't see you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Snyder, Linn County Health Department. For the month of November, we had 228 client appointments. The KDHE Mobile Lab visited the Pleasanton grade school and high school. They will visit Jayhawk in the spring, and then Parker and Lacine opted out of having them come this year. We hosted our second WIC Clinic Day in Blue Mound last week. We're working to get those clients on similar schedules so we can go ahead and get them scheduled out for the next year. Our WIC numbers are continuing to rise. We added 6 new clients just last week. The mammogram bus is coming back to the health department on February the 18th. They're finishing up their scheduling side of it, and as soon as they're finished with that, we'll be able to start taking appointments. So hopefully in the next 1 to 2 weeks, we can offer up appointment slots for those mammograms. I've been working with Brad Rhodes and the IT department to continue to update our page on the website. I've also submitted an abstract for the National WIC Conference to present how we're using technology to modernize the WIC experience for our clients. Hopefully I'll hear back by the end of the month whether or not that's been approved. That's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
I
I
don't.
know.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you guys.
You ready?
Morning. I sent my report out last week. I don't have a ton to update with the regards of, I did meet with Social Manage website company out of Lewisburg. David Alexander was his name. I sent those notes to you last night. I don't know if you received them or not, but I sent them to David to get to you. If you have any questions regarding that, please reach out to me. But I'm also going to meet with Red Logic, Matt Kasner, this week in regards to him sharing what he has to offer as well regarding a website. I did learn this week at the conference that we must be ADA compliant within this website. So we have some work to do in regards to that. And two of the companies that I've already spoke to regarding the website have assured me that they are up to date and it fits right in with what they do. So we'll be okay regarding that. But there is a date of April 27th of 2027 that has to be taken care of by. We have an e-community meeting tomorrow morning at 8:30 here in this room. There is a new group that started this summer called the Linn County Together, and they are working on a countywide calendar. And so I'm going to be meeting with that group. I am part of that group, but was not able to attend the meeting due to being at the conference, but we're going to continue to meet and working on a countywide community calendar for everyone. So excited about that. And then the last thing I have is I have a signature, I need a signature for my expense report from this last week. And if you have any questions for me.
Oh my God.
Who's the lucky gentleman that gets to sign this?
I'll sign it.
Okay.
I did send it. David, can you send that airport? I got an email from somebody. I don't know if it's true or not, but he was interested in talking about the sale of the airport. He just asked if it was for sale, and I just told him we were entertaining offers. Can you send that to her too?
I can do that.
Just so she knows who he is.
That was just, yeah, there it is.
You what?
Just want to look at it.
It's good.
Anything else? Nope.
Do we need a motion for this, David?
I don't know that'd be that big a deal. It's a really
Just reimbursement. Is it?
out of your budget, so I think that would fall within what you could just.
Sure, I approve. I'm just kidding. Do you keep that or do I turn that into Joyce?
I can take it. People say it over there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a few minutes ago, I posted a copy of our audit on your site. And the auditor is going to be here today. Got him scheduled for 10:30 just to go through the audit. So that'll be up there in case he's referring to things on there to look at while he's here.
Where is it at, David?
Is it the Linn County?
Linn County 2023
I got it.
financial statements.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. It didn't pull up the first time for me.
And he's not going to be available till
He's
10:30?
he's scheduled to 10:30 to be here, and he's coming from Chanute, so I would guess he's on his way at this point.
And then Darren's on at 11.
Yeah, and I don't know if
And they're by phone, correct?
I'm not sure how he's doing that.
Do we have any other items that need to be talked about or taken care of between now and 10:30?
Go ahead and do public comment.
Oh, yeah, public comment. We can do that. We'll open up for public comment. Anybody desire to speak at this time, stand up and speak your name and your comment. None? I like it. All right, we'll close public comment. If there's nothing else, we'll just, if you guys want to, we can recess until 10:30.
It's fine with me.
Do you know how long your session is with work? I was talking earlier. Available now.
I don't, we can reach out to him and I don't know. I guess I can find out if Darren's gonna be, if it's gonna be a three-way call or what it's gonna be. Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know any details.
You guys want to recess until 10? I can try to get a hold of both of them, figure it out. And if they can go a little sooner, we will. And we'll come back at 10 o'clock and recess to 10:30 or do it. You good with that?
Yep.
All right. I'll make a motion that we recess until 10 o'clock.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
They are, but they don't make them.
If you have any luck.
Yeah, Darren said he's still 20 minutes away, so if we just want to recess until 10:30 when we talk to Rodney, and then we'll continue on schedule. You guys good with that?
It's fine.
You're good? All right. Well, we're going to stay on schedule at 10:30. We'll meet with Rodney Burns. So we will take a recess until 10:30, and then we will be back. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved second. All in favor?
Aye.
Give Darren time to get settled in.
Yeah.
All right, you can either stand up at the podium and talk to us, or you can bring that microphone and bring it there or here. That's easier.
So we were.
Here back in the end of October for February, the county audit. This is for 2023. This one.
Yeah. It's a light on.
So, second.
Oh, hang on. I think I got turned off on this one. Give me just a second.
Okay.
Now I'm back on.
So yeah, if you go ahead and state your name and who you're with, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I'm Rodney Burns. I'm a CPA out of Chanute. I work my own company, so it's Rodney Burns CPA LLC. I was here back in October and did the first part of November, did the county audit for 2023 calendar year. I was going to report on a few things for you.
Okay.
There's several bank accounts that aren't in your records. Like the park has an account and they have a hunting and fishing account and an account that they use to keep track of the money they collect. The employee benefit trust account is in a separate bank account, but it's not in your records. There's the health department has a cash account where they collect receipts. And I've talked to Janet about maybe getting some of those pulled in to where they can be reconciled along with everything else each month.
Okay.
And she's going to work on doing that in the future. We show them in your audit as part of an agency fund because the money doesn't really belong to you. Like in the case of the HSA accounts, it belongs to your employees, but you're still responsible for maintaining it and administering the account on their behalf. So they need to be in your records if you can.
Is that what's addressed as far as the adverse or unmodified opinions?
Oh, in the report, you mean?
Yes.
No, okay, well, I was going to use that in a minute, but we'll go ahead and do it now.
All right.
That's right. Every year you adopt a waiver of GAAP, which is allowed by the Kansas statute, and every county pretty much does it. And as a result, you fall under what's called the regulatory basis of accounting, which is prescribed by the state of Kansas. And it tells you how your financial statements should be prepared. And it's basically the cash basis adjusted by payables and encumbrances. That's not a basis of accounting that's accepted by GAAP. And we have to tell in your report whether you're following GAAP or not.
Okay.
And you're not. So we have to say in that first opinion there, you're not following GAAP. But the next opinion, we say you're following the regulatory basis of accounting instead. And you did have an unqualified opinion on that.
Okay.
Or unmodified opinion. And the basis for that is, the difference in basis, like, under GAAP, you accrue a lot of revenue and depreciation on your fixed assets, that kind of things that you just don't do here.
Right.
And that those numbers would be material if we went under a GAAP basis. So that's why we just have to explain why that's that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the accounts that I'm talking about here, there aren't anything that's really big, really. So they wouldn't affect your financial statements, but it's just things that need to be accounted for and kind of tightened up a little bit. There were no budget violations last year. You did have one fund that was in the red at the end of the year. That was the appraiser's fund. And they had some bills coming in January that got charged back to the last year's budget, and that was more than what the cash was available. But the cash was there by the time you paid them in January. But we just have to show it at December 31st being in the red. It was about $6,000. Since you spent more than $750,000 in federal money, we had to do what's called a single audit in addition to your regular audit. And we have to test compliance and test your control systems over federal monies. It's extra work on top of your normal audit that we have to do. And then we file your report with the Federal Audit Clearinghouse, along with some data about the county and things. And David had to log in and certify that once we got done. But there weren't any issues with that, or no findings or any compliance issues on that or anything. As far as the report itself, if you're familiar with the one from last year, it's basically the same format. Statement 1 on page 6 and 7, that's just an overview of the county. Totals by fund, total receipts, total expenses, ending unencumbered cash. And you can see there on the third line down, the appraiser's fund, ending unencumbered cash is in the red, 5,958. That's what we were just talking about there. And then we add that across to the right to the actual cashes in the bank and add that down to what's actually in the bank accounts. Make sure it all balances out. That's just an overview of your county as a whole. Then behind that, starting on page 8, there are the notes to the financial statements. And that just describes for the user of the statements of how your statements are prepared. Basically describes the regulatory basis of accounting and how receipts are recognized and how expenses are recognized, how your property taxes are recorded, that kind of thing. Just a lot of general information that someone that wanted to buy bonds that the county was issuing to would want to know some of these things.
Okay.
Description of the budget process, things like that. And on page 13, there's a schedule of your long-term debt. And in 2013, you did issue some new bonds to pay off a portion of your jail bonds, to kind of restructure that a little bit. So they're shown on there also. And then right below that, it shows your future payments for the next 5 years, plus in 5-year totals after that, till they paid off in 2050. Then on page 18, there's a summary of all your budgeted funds and what the budget was, and then if you had any kind of reimbursement credits or anything against them, compared to what you actually spent from each fund, shows the that you're all under budget in all your funds. It's just a summary of the budget statement on each fund that way. Then starting on page 19 is the individual fund data for each fund, detailed by line items. You can see more detailed, like how much revenue collected by different tax accounts and expenditures by department, that kind of thing. The general fund goes on for several pages. It's broken out by department there, as you can see in the expenses. And there's a page in there for each of your funds that shows year to date. Now, ordinarily, we would include the prior year column in there too to show you how you spent this year compared to the prior year. But since I didn't audit the prior year, I can't show that without going back and re-auditing it, and I didn't. So that's why it's not in there this year.
Okay.
Then on page 59, there's a schedule of your agency funds. These are funds that the treasurer collects and holds for other people and distributes them out later. Mainly your cities and counties, or cities and school districts and townships that she collects tax money for and then distributes it out 5 times a year. Money that you collect for the state that goes to the, like motor vehicle tax and motor vehicle licenses, that kind of thing. It's money that's in your hands, but it doesn't really belong to you. On page 62, these are the federal reports that are required because of the single audit. The first one is under what's called government auditing standards, which are anytime you have a single audit, these standards come into play. You have to test compliance and internal controls over that. And those are all clean opinions. The next one on page 64 is your opinion on compliance for each major program. And a major program is the one that you spent the most money through for the year. In this case, it was ARPA money that you were still spending last year. And there were no compliance issues or anything on that. Now on page 67, there's what's called the schedule of findings and question costs. That just is information for the federal people to look at to see that there were no issues. You can see I've got checked under internal control weaknesses, there's checked no everywhere. Compliance, there's no issues. And it describes down there about 2/3 of the way down what your major program was that we had to test for last year. That was the ARPA money. And it says the county did not qualify as a low-risk auditee. That's because you waive gap every year. When you do that, you can't become a low-risk auditee. That means we have to test a higher percentage of your federal programs than we would otherwise. So it doesn't mean anything. It's not anything bad on the county's standpoint. But, and then the last page is a summary of all the federal programs that you had last year and how much you received and spent for each program, broken out by department. It comes from the Department of Agriculture, Department of Transportation, Department of Health. It's the summary. You can see for the total for the year, you spent $966,000 of federal money. But since that was over 750, I had to do that extra audit then. I kind of did that kind of quick. Do you have any questions about anything?
I don't think I do. Trying to catch up.
Okay.
Anything?
So we had no control issues or anything along those lines.
Right.
We just had those accounts and the appraiser's budget in the red for December.
Yeah.
Were our only red flags, I guess.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah, that's it. Do you want to look at doing the contract again for next year? Do your audit for 2024 on here?
Yes.
There's 2 copies there, one for me and one for you. The price will be $1,000 more than it was this year, which is only or 5 or 6% increase. The total contract for $18,200. And then if a single audit is required next year, it'll be an extra $3,000 for that. And depending how much ARPA money you have left over, it probably will qualify again next year too.
Probably will.
That should be the end of that.
Yeah.
Now, remember, you have to spend the ARPA money by the end of this year or have it obligated.
Allocated, yeah.
So
Do you have, just off the top of your head, any idea about timing for audit next year, or?
hopefully earlier than this year, but it's probably still gonna be at least September. Yeah, just depends how things go between now and then.
Is that gonna cause us any issues with our bonds?
The bond people would like it earlier, but like this year when it was coming up on their deadline, I let them know that it was in progress and we'd get it to them as soon as they could. And they seemed to be okay with that. So
Okay.
it's just, they would love to have it 2 or 3 months earlier than that if they could get it, but
Right.
it just doesn't work out that way.
Yeah. If your audit's not done by the time they need their deadline, they can get information from the treasurer
Yeah.
to do what they need. And it's just easier from the audit report.
So prior to Rodney Burns, who did we use, David?
Last year was another company out of Chanute, and
Jared Gilmore and Phillips.
yes. And then for years before that, we had used Deal Manwork Bolton out of Fort Scott, but they got out of the municipal audit business. So
Is it something we need to open up for bid to see, or how do we do that?
it's pretty similar between different companies, and it's really hard to find one to get things done when we need it. I
And
mean, you guys can look around if you would like to, but
I think that from my other experiences that having the same one for a period of 3 to 5 years is a good thing, but not staying with the same one forever is also a good thing.
yeah.
Is that,
There's thoughts both ways. Some think it's good to have somebody fresh look at it every 3 or 4 years. Others say the longer you're there, the more familiar you are with it. And if there's an issue, you might be more willing to catch it. It's because you've been there longer to know what something looks different one year that
Okay.
it just, there's 2 ways of looking at it.
From our side of it over in the courthouse, Janet and I, we would rather stay in the same place for a few years. But, it seems like like last year, and then Rodney was new for us this year.
Yeah.
Whenever you change auditors, they're going to look at some things a little differently. And maybe have different names for reports and it takes longer to find things. And once you get used to it, you're more prepared.
Right.
But no, I mean, I could see every few years, it probably would be a good idea to get some bids and look at things.
Look at that.
It is hard to find an auditor right now, I'll tell you that. The ones in Fort Scott retired 2 years ago, and there's one in Independence that retired too. And they did a bunch of school and county audits. And a lot of their clients were out calling me and some others looking for somebody, and I just don't have the time on my schedule to do it. So if you don't renew this, you'll probably have to go with somebody like the BCM Manhattan and City, somebody further away.
And I think we had actually talked to you the prior year and you were booked up so long.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to work out.
Yeah.
Does it state in here your price?
Yeah, it should be like the next to last page, I think.
There it is. Thank you. Okay.
I'm good with it. If you guys are, if it makes everybody life easier to.
Good. Like I said, 3 to 5 years. That allows them to get comfortable with us, and then switching it up allows us to not be quite as comfortable one more time.
Just for a little comparison, if you want to look, I just pulled up the last year that we did with Deal Bamler and Bolton, and it was almost 23,000 with them that year.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we enter into contract with Rodney M. Burns CPA for $18,200 for the county audit.
An additional 3,000.
Oh yeah, with an additional 3,000 per major program required to be tested.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? So if there's a special program that requires more auditing, which is 3,000 per major program, you'll let us know. And
Well,
how does that work?
It's triggered if you spend $750,000 of federal money or not. I have to do that extra audit on top of the audit.
Okay.
And then within that, I have to pick so many programs to meet 40% of your federal money. In this case, it was ARPA was enough to cover that. Next year probably will be too.
Okay.
As big as it is.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And so there's 2 copies there for signature.
Yeah, one.
Thank you, Rodney.
One for you. Then there is one other thing I need to talk to you about, but I was discussing with David, we probably need to wait until we talk to your attorney at the same time. They said you're talking to him at 11, I think.
Yeah, we'll probably start off with you. What
Okay.
What do you need, 5 or 10?
Yeah, probably less than 10, I'm sure.
Okay. We'll just, we'll be entering into the executive session at 11.
Okay.
And we'll just start off with you for 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney.
Post the sheriff's report on your site
Yeah, I did.
while we were on a break. It just came in.
The sheriff's report for December 9th. Total prisoners in 65, 12 released this past week. Total in 65, total farmed out 1. Total farmed in 46, 50 911 calls, 553 total calls for service, 27 civil service papers served, 13 VIN inspections, 17 new cases opened, 8 cases closed, 4 vehicle crashes, 101 SRO activities, 213 bailiff contacts, 2 livestock out. All right, Sean, you got something else?
Early this morning, we got a last minute burial permit BP 2024-12. This is, Linn County Rural Water 3. It's a bore under 2100 road with a 1-inch poly to a 2-inch main for an address of 5457 West 2100 Road, and being put in by Chad Page. All the paperwork was filled out properly, and Jesse and I have both signed off on it. The only thing we are waiting for is, because he emailed it in, trying to get it last minute, is for him to come in, pick up a copy, and drop off a check for it.
My eyes are.
It's that paper. They were shaking it on the copy machine.
Yeah, the first one's a little difficult to read.
I'll make a motion that we approve burial permit 2024-12 for the Linn County Rural Water 3 at 2033-9 Lamb Road, Lacine, for a 1-inch poly water line. Under the understanding, or with Chad dropping off a contract and dropping a check off, I make a motion that we approve it.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What we got?
Not the first page. Again.
All right. Is that all you had, Sean?
That is everything I had.
Darren, you ready?
Good morning, Commissioners. Darren Wilson, Planning and Zoning Director. Today I have a zoning change, case number Z24-05 for Douglas Saba at 17288 Baskerville Road, Centerville. He's requesting approval of a rezoning from the agricultural zoning to the residential zoning for a lot split purposes. Applicant has been approved for a lot split of 2 acres to sell to his family and keep 6.29 for himself. Under current zoning regulations, the parcel is below the minimum 10-acre size and requires rezoning as residential. The 6.29 acres will be rezoned as countryside. This request is taking place due to a bank's request. In our zoning regs, we allow for ADU
an accessory dwelling unit for family purposes only. And the bank has asked for him to split off that almost 3 acres for equity for the purposes so that he can get a loan for his dwelling unit. Other than that, I wouldn't have had to brought this to you. It would have been an accessory dwelling unit. The proposed zoning change conforms to the characteristics of the neighborhood by providing the combined usage. Neighboring agricultural zoning properties are of large size. Property is suitable for permitted use. The proposal rezoning of the land creates no change or effect of surrounding properties and not create any additional infrastructure needs. The proposed change conforms to the comprehensive plan by allowing more land to be kept in large agricultural parcels. Planning and zoning passed this zoning change unanimously, and at their recommendation, they ask that you pass resolution number 2024-36 to allow this zoning change.
Do you have any questions?
No.
I don't.
I don't need to. I'll make a motion that we approve zoning change 2024-36 to allow the zoning change.
I'll second it.
Do we need to have in there about accepting their findings or?
Yeah, I recommend that you, part of the motion be that you accept the findings from planning and zoning.
And we accept the findings of planning and zoning. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can you email me all the details? Thank you.
I'd like to ask for 30 minutes of executive session for legal with Mark Hagan, the commissioners. Part of that time, I only need 10 minutes. I think part of that time, Chris needs time and Sean needs time. So I'm just asking all at once.
And then we want to have just a little bit with Rodney over one issue, and I've got a quick update for you, but it shouldn't take more than a minute.
So you want to do 40 minutes total?
Yep.
40 minutes total.
For legal.
Legal session with 10 going to Rodney, and then 30 minutes with Darren, and we'll include Chris. Well, Chris
Needs time, Sean needs time, and then I need time.
Okay. And I would like to allow Allie Hamilton, my replacement, to set in with us on this too. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, commissioners.
I make a motion that we extend our executive session for legal for 15 more minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
we need to extend our executive session. I make a motion to extend it for 5 more minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are back in session. We have no action for executive session. David, do you have anything else?
I have one more question. I've had several people ask me about Christmas Eve. Christmas is on a Wednesday, wondering if we're going to shut down early the day before or what the schedule's going to be.
What do we typically do?
Half day.
We frequently have done some extra time when it's in the middle of the week, but it's up to the commission on how they want to handle that.
I would be all right with closing at noon.
Jim? I'm good with it.
So noon on Christmas Eve,
Yep.
Do you need a motion for that?
wouldn't hurt anything.
I'll make a motion that we are open on Christmas Eve until noon and then close for the remainder of the day and Christmas Day.
I'll second. Motion been moving second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You guys got anything else?
David, I've had people approach me, and I know as far as you're resigning, could you go through the procedure on what it takes for somebody if they're interested, how this will work to, if people, I know it's going to take the Republican.
Yeah, it's up to the Republican Central Committee of the county to choose a replacement. They just went through this on the sheriff, and obviously with James being the only one on the ballot, they appointed him, but I was not involved at all on that one. I know what we did a few years ago when we had some of these. In fact, well, that's how Danny first got started. They call it a convention. They call a meeting of their committee members. And at least what happened at that time was, in order for someone to be considered, they had to be nominated by a Republican in the county and seconded. Then the people that were nominated had a chance to speak to the committee, and then the committee took a vote until they came with a majority vote going to one candidate. And like I say, it's really nothing. I'm not involved in that process.
I just thought you might know more
Yeah.
than anybody. And then how will it work as far as the term, since it's where it's at?
So because it's early in a term, whoever's appointed, it will be for 2 years, and they would have to run at midterm for another 2 years to get back on the 4-year cycle.
And then it'll be 4 after that, just
Yeah.
like before, but you,
Yeah.
okay. But I've had a couple people
Yeah.
ask me, and
And I have talked to Becky, who's chair of the party, and let her know what's coming. It's just I can't officially turn in the notice until the new term starts.
right.
You got anything? You got any,
Nope.
David?
I don't know of anything else.
All right, with that, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion been moving second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.